Right.
the word.
And if you only are using, let's say you have a visual learner, and so you teach them visually, all they can do is memorize. There's not actually understanding that comes along with it. They can know what it's supposed to look like, but not necessarily why.
Well, they usually don't know why.
Right.
And they think they're a good student.
Right.
And that if the others aren't, it's a morally bankrupt system because of its falseness. And the judgments that come out of it are therefore false. And our children, within a family, you have one who can learn this way, and then you have others who can't, one or more who can't, and the ones who can feel sorry that there's something wrong with their sister who can't do what they do. And that's terrible,
right.
how you have a pridefulness about it. But that's what natural talent will get you.
So you said there's the second difference between phonics and phonetics?
Yes. The method of instruction is the difference.
In the full spectrum or the fragmented?
Mm-hmm. And it's huge. In fact, it's so big that method of instruction determines ahead of time who's going to get it. I'm not saying who's going to have knowledge, but who's going to get how.
Who's going to be able to thrive in
the
that
way they were taught,
right,
and produce what that way of teaching calls good or requires of the student. So you will always look at the curriculum first as a method of instruction.
Because every curriculum is first and foremost a method of instruction.
Before it's anything else, before the teacher or the student have any interaction.
Right.
Now, and the other one is the content. Phonics teaches us to do this very unnatural thing of study alphabet letters by their names and spell with alphabet letters and think with alphabet letters when we talk with sounds. Think how long it would take us to talk to each other if we spelled out all our words. But that's silly, but we don't do that. Cat is not C-A-T. When I say cat to you, dear Joshua, I say cat in a blended way. That's cat.
Right.
And phonetics teaches the sound to symbol direct matching correlation. And that's how it serves us. When you get done knowing your alphabet, do you know what you can say? I know my alphabet. It will serve you nary a bit for speaking, therefore for spelling or reading, and your writing depends on your spelling. But if you know your sound symbol relationships and can say k, a, t, you need to be taught those little entities. There are 80, actually the exact number of phonograms, nobody should pick a hill and die on it.
Right.
We teach 88, but in the process we also teach our students, keep looking. If you find something here that is a sound that isn't represented by a phonogram you've been taught, phono is sound, gram is symbol. By a phonogram here, then you've discovered a phonogram. So teach it to your team and go for it. We teach 88, and the phonograms, again, you hang your hat on them because they produce correct speech, correct spelling, writing, and of course reading. It's a wonderful thing. So that's the content of it, method and content.
Okay. And so a lot of people would wonder maybe, well, first I just want to get back to your teaching history. How long did you teach before you discovered this method?
Let's see. I was 46. No, I was 23 years old when I started teaching, and 46.
And that's 23 years?
Is that?
23 years.
23 years. I'll be.
So, 23 years of teaching. And you mentioned you had 3 degrees, and one of the just preconceived notions that we have today that nobody really considers is that one of the problems with the world is lack of education. So more education is going to fix it. And so your 3 degrees, for those who think that education is, the educational system of today, I think true knowledge and real education and real learning is a good thing, obviously, but for those who put all of their eggs into the educational system that we have going today, your degrees did nothing for you.
Well, if you're taught by someone who doesn't know what they need to know so they can teach it to you, that's the problem. And when we go into the university and we're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and want to become a teacher, who's teaching us? People who don't know anything except the evolutionary-based phonics philosophy of language arts instruction.
Can you explain what you mean by evolutionary based?
Yes. Evolution as a philosophy, as a religious philosophy, which it is, it intends to separate out the population based on categorizing it, and there's no God, there's no origin of man that's by design, so those who are more powerful can take to themselves this right to dominate other people and can choose the distinguishing features on which they will do that. So what the evolutionary philosophy, which wishes to control mankind, and we know that is right from Satan, to control individuals in a forthright way. They couldn't come up to you and say, now, if you bring your child to school, we're going to teach him in such a way that he will fail. At least 80% will fail. And then we'll design the curriculum for the 20% and make sure they don't, quote, fail according to the curriculum design. And so by education, we can sort out who of us is going to be the leaders and who is going to be the laborers. So it's an economic-based educational decision by people who hate God and humanity.
So that goes back to what you said earlier about any curriculum. You can tell by the method of instruction who is going to succeed in that method of instruction and who is not before the method of instruction is even implemented.
It's not a secret that 80% of us are not visually talented from birth because we test the way we teach. And when you look at the results of our standardized testing,
80% of 8th graders
cannot read, spell, or write, and we don't even test speaking correctly at a quote grade level according to the demands of the curriculum. And grade level is a contrived thing anyway, because phonics intends to divvy out doses, I call it, but increments of not knowledge, but of work to keep the child housed in public education for that number of years till they are ready to go either into a profession or the world of work. They make no bones about it. They use the words world of work, occupations, and careers. It's a guild system is what it amounts to. And study that from your medieval history, what a guild is. And it's employed through public education. Home education has brought it right into its bed, lock, stock, and barrel, and they have the same results. When home educated persons start bragging about the wonders of homeschooling and how homeschoolers do so well compared to the public education system, their criteria are not, they're not honest in the criteria about which they're talking. Because if you go to the standardized test results, which are collected from home educators, in every state you don't have to collect those. But when you go to those that are collected, you find the same 80-20% failure success, according to how the child is taught and tested. I take my stand on that because it's evidence that can be ferreted out by anyone.
Right.